Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome to Midnight Mandela. Hope you all had a good week this week. Been a little quiet on the Mandela front, but there's been a lot of people talking about strange time events like clock events. So that's interesting, especially considering we were talking about the other day with the time zone shifts. So we just had the time zone shifts here recently. And it just seems like a lot of people are on like Redcon and different places saying like a half hour. And it's not a whole hour, but like it seems like it's going by half hours. That a half hour's missing here. Or some people have said it was added, but most people seem to be noticing it's less, like they'll lose a half hour. So I find that interesting too. Maybe there's the other subject we had on last week. I'm just going to very briefly go over it. Is that I said last week that somebody I know that was in this area used to be 3 hours difference from me, and now is only 2 hours difference. Well, we both had the same time zone change at the same day, so we should still be 3 hours. Well, today I talked to somebody else who's up a little higher in Illinois area, and they also remember there being a 3 hour diff, but now there's only a 2 hour diff. So it looks like this whole line here, time zone line, has moved to the east, and used to include those two people. It's just interesting that I know two people right along there. So that's verification. And it was funny because the second person was saying, oh, you better go. Your show is in, a half hour. And I'm like, no, it's in an hour and a half because we're only 2 hours apart now. So just wanted to bring that one up because I've got further verification of that. Let's see, we're talking about Henry Kissinger. I'm just not sure on that dude. I certainly haven't heard him in like eons, him doing anything. I was actually looking just a little bit before this to see if there was any information on how he died. Nothing. I would have thought they would have said that because, he made it to 80, so he probably didn't die from like crack overdose or something. So like, I don't see why they wouldn't have released that info. If it doesn't come out really soon, I'll think that's strange. Because, like, why would you not say? I don't know. Like, even if he died from COVID, aren't we, like, trying to increase the scare here? So, you'll have to excuse me. I'm, like, super thirsty. And then I've been for hours, and I just ran to get water, like, right before the show. So, I actually haven't consumed enough to satisfy me. So that's, I'm not sure on Kissinger. You guys will have to tell me. Energies have been weird. Yes, I do think so. I don't think I covered that last week. So was it this weekend? I believe. Yeah, Friday, Saturday. I was like super tired. I slept a lot. On Saturday, I had a tentative agreement to go help with the horses, but I wasn't required, and I just stayed home and took a huge long nap. Now, it was a pleasant nap. It wasn't like one of those I feel sick, icky naps. Like, I just felt sleepy. That was all I felt, was just sleepy. So I just slept and slept. And then I got up, and then another person I know that I'm renting a room from in my house, he also had taken like the world's longest nap. And then the person who does the horses had texted me that she had a giant migraine. And it looks like there was a shift basically around Friday, Saturday. And some people I know who kind of track the Schumann's residence says that they thought that they saw a shift signature at that time. So I think we did get one. There was one other little thing where there's something a little bit different about my mailbox, but I just wasn't sure if that was misremembering or not. The hated word, but it does happen. So I wasn't sure on that one, but it does seem like we had a shift around the weekend. Let's see who else is on. I think he made the news a few months ago, and now he died. Kissinger, I just don't know about that one. Yeah, Shari, I don't know. I've had weird health problems for years and years, and I try to go to the doctor, and they're completely useless. They just say, oh, you have a sinus infection. Here's your antibiotics. They don't do anything. The antibiotics never help. And I know other people who, said, I feel this or that. They go, oh, they all get, I don't know what it is around here, but they just say you have a sinus infection. They give you antibiotics. And every time I ask this person, like, well, you got the antibiotics. Do you feel better now? You've been on it for 3-4 days? No. They never say they feel better on the antibiotics. It's like, why take them then? They're not helping. So I've just, I've been spending years and years just working on like more natural changing diet, this vitamin, that vitamin, my body. So your body rejects any chemicals. I have noticed that I've gotten more intolerant of like garbage. And it's easy to blame that on age, but I do think, we have a different body now. So, I don't know. There's a different energy. There's different everything. So I can't really assume that what was true 20 years ago with a whole different biology is going to be true now. So it's frustrating though, because I feel like I'm just when I'm starting to figure out the operator manual for this body, then something else happens and now that's not working, but this works. And it's like, but one of the things that has been helping also for me though, it's kind of more of a manifestation thing, is that it was suggested in multiple places that I just not think so much about being sick. And it's kind of hard to do. I feel crappy, I'm tired, blah, blah, blah. But instead to focus on all the ways I'm healthy, like, I might say, oh, I'm tired, but hey, I worked all day and I just had a good sleep last night and all these things are working right, and try to really concentrate on, and whenever you feel good, like, don't go like, oh, I feel good right now, but I'm sure it'll suck later, or it's probably going to not last. And only just try to think, I feel good. I like this. This is a good feeling. So that's step one for the manifestation, is concentrate on every way like that you kick butt, that you're doing really good. And number two for manifestation is to spend time just kind of daydreaming, fantasizing about doing healthy stuff, like this would be fun. I went for a long walk and I felt great, and I could, I'm feeling stronger every day, progress, blah, 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 just fantasize about it and try to keep it positive. Don't go, oh, but that'll never happen. No, just go, this would be great. These are the kinds of things I like. And I have been doing that. And then shortly after I did that, I stumbled on some stuff that really helped me. So manifestation is like that. It'll look like a mundane coincidence pathway that you could say, oh, well, that was just chance, but it just happens to come in there right when you're doing that, so that would be the way I would suggest tackling it, because I've kind of just realized there's so many things in the world and confusions that even if you're a super genius, figuring it out with logic alone may not be that doable. But with a little help with manifestation and throwing the right things in front of you and kind of programming the future you want, then that might be more effective. And, one thing I always say about this manifestation stuff, it's not going to hurt to try this. It's not, you can still do all the other stuff, so it's free. It takes a little mental effort, but, it's good habits, so. Oh, you're talking about the thumbnail. Yeah, the turtleneck of that woman. Now, I am assuming on the thumbnail there's a picture of a woman kissing a frog. Okay, I'm assuming that maybe they just did some, Photoshop on her or whatever. But, yeah, she does have a preternaturally long neck. And I picked that particular image just because I thought that neck was hilarious. Now, again, I would guess she doesn't have that neck. You never can tell anymore. But it's actually a subject we're going to cover later. And that was a 2 for goofy neck plus the subject, which is, right. Jimmy Carter next. Yeah. Yeah. You know, Jimmy's been weird because then they said he had that brain cancer, but then they somehow magically cured it with some kind of DNA thing, and then he was sick again. Like, well, can you do the DNA thing again? Nope, I guess. I don't know. Have you seen the peculiar photo of Carter's wife's funeral? I don't think so. IMAC last night was showing a palm tree climbing fish. Ah. Oh, interesting. Hold on, I'm going to take off the sound. Oh, they found an interesting one, certainly. What the heck? Oh my gosh. Unbelievable fish. Amazing fish climbs on a palm tree. Why? Now, the question is, did they take fish and lay them on this palm tree, and then they flopped around, and then they filmed it? Or is there, like, really a reason these things are climbing this palm tree? That's because, I mean, like, I don't see why they would climb it. They don't look like they're very well adapted to it. Now, we do have those weird mudfish things that travel pretty far distances now out of water, but they kind of have like adapted front legs for it, and they have like a special gills, so you can kind of see it in their morphology. I don't remember them existing before, but you can see it in their morphology that they are now designed to haul their little butts long distances. These guys, I'm just a little confused because all I really see is them flapping around in here. I don't see them doing any climbing. See, that guy just falls over. That guy fell off. So I don't really think that this particular one really is fish climbing. Okay, let's see what this is here. This one looks a little closer. Okay, so they're on the palm tree. Yeah, I don't think this particular one is it. Not saying there aren't any, but that one is not showing me any. If you got more obviously climbing, let me just see what we can find here. Palm, let's see, tree climbing fish. Now this might be a precursor to something interesting. Climbing gourami, family of fishes. Those do look like them. All right. All right, this one might be a better one here. These guys do look like they have a different morphology. They look like, these are those mud skippers. Okay. We've had these on before. Now, are they going to climb a tree? I'm trying to think, why would a fish even climb a tree? But I'm sure that the reality can come up with something. Fish walking on trees and land. Those we've had on before, those mud skipper things. Which can climb trees. Now they can basically walk on land, so you could put them on a tree, or they could climb up roots and stuff out of the water. So there's that. We do not appear to be quite where they actually deliberately climb the trees. I'm really not seeing anything. No, they've been on. Okay, let's see. What's this? It climbs up onto something from the water. Here. All right, so that one was not actually going vertical. It looks like they just had a down view. Let's see. Now it's just clinging. All right, that one could be placed up there. So yeah, I'm not really seeing it there yet. The aggressive climbing perch. Okay, this is interesting because this is not a mud skipper. Walk on dry land on its way. The climbing perch hardly has the same ring as the T-Rex. Can last for days or weeks on land as they have an air-breathing organ, which in drier times they dig into the mud. All right, let's see. Okay. Okay, that guy does look like, it's interesting, like, can you get any worse video than this? So that's kind of one of my things. It's like, and right around here where the fish is extra blurry. So it does seem a little strange to me, but maybe this one's new to the reality. We don't see them climbing any trees. So it could be they took some of these perches and laid it on the tree. All right, so it's the aggressive climbing perch. Let's just look at that. Climbing perch. I mean, maybe they just mean it can climb onto dry land. Now, I don't remember this one being around, this climbing perch, but we've seen other fish suddenly be able to do this, so. These ones interesting because they don't really look like land, like they're not designed for land movement. They don't appear to be. It may become trapped as waters recede. If necessary, it's able to travel across the land for a distance of several hundred meters, provided it remains moist. These movements are not thought to be undertaken on a regular basis. It has never been recorded to hunt or forage while not immersed, nor is it capable of climbing trees due to its limited physiology. The latter rumor apparently originated towards the end of the 18th century when a specimen was found in a tree 5 foot off the ground, but is now thought to have been transported there by a bird or other animal. When moving over land, its movements are in fact somewhat slow and ungainly. Okay, so it's not there yet. Interesting though. I wouldn't be surprised if either this changes or some animal, other fish, suddenly starts climbing trees though. Maybe it will be those mud skippers that already climb over land because they're more designed for it. But I don't think these guys are there yet. So we see this all the time. They'll be like, oh, this is just an old wives' tale. They don't really do this. But this other thing does do it. And so it's kind of like it feeds into your doubts and agrees with you, but then swings you back around to the new weird reality anyway in a slightly indirect route. We've seen that a lot with these creatures. So I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming that's the one that IMEC found. Get rid of this pin thing. Yeah, see, and if there's a lot of weird videos, it's like you're getting primed for it. The perfect fish to be in a tree. Perch. That's a good point. That's a good point. That's a good point. Are we going to get to a reality where all the names are totally apt? No AI music, please. Yeah. I mean, if they're not going to add anything, but also I think it really, I haven't, knock on wood, I haven't had any strikes in quite some time, and I think killing the sound really does help. Will walleyes be looking in my windows at night? No, they'll be in your wall, because they're walleyes. Yeah, the catfish are going to turn into cats. Lawn shrimps. Do we have lawn shrimps? Okay. I'm sorry, IMEC. I'm stealing all your stuff. Lawn shrimps. I hope they taste good. Lawn prawn or land hopper is a species of beach hopper. Small crustaceans found in moist environments. Lawn shrimp. Yeah, shrimps should be in at least somewhat stable bodies of water. At least in the old days. Has marine and freshwater forms. Moist habitats. So I guess, who waters their lawn that much? Maybe in the UK it's always raining, but even them, they've been getting a lot of dry cycles lately. Okay, so they're tiny. Like those called beach fleas live on the beach where they occur under stones. After rains, large numbers of amphipods can migrate into garages or under the doors of houses. They do not have a waxy layer on their exoskeleton, as do insects. They lose or gain moisture from their environment. That is why they migrate out of rain-soaked soil to drier areas when they usually end up dying anyway. Okay, so they're super dinky. Masses of dead lawn shrimp. If amphipods are continual problems on sidewalks, pavements, or within open structures after heavy rains, then steps should be taken to dry out the mulch. Amphipods can cause problems for pool owners during rainy weather. Large numbers can be found in swimming pools. Okay, this is interesting because they're not saying... I guess then the story is that it rains really hard and then they go into your lawns. They don't, live there. At least not currently. But you gotta wonder, why would you call it lawn shrimp if they're not really hanging out in your lawn? Other organisms relevant to Florida. So it doesn't seem like the lawn shrimps are really in your lawn yet. Might be coming soon. Erodium seed, a seed which drills itself into the ground. Oh, I think you mentioned that one the other day. So erodium seed, there's seeds now that they have kind of a spiral thing. And then I guess when they get wet, it causes them to kind of spin. Now, one of the weird things is when I watched the video, I saw spinning, but I didn't see it go in the ground. So they drop, the ones I saw before, they drop water on it and then they slowly, so I guess it's unwinding. Okay, this one looks like it might go in the ground. Let's see. Oh, it looks like it went in a little bit. Alright, first it goes like this, then it goes like this. So I don't know if is it getting dry and then it reverses? But if it reverses, doesn't the seed come back out? Yeah, see right there, it stops and goes. So it kind of feel like they're making the video go back and forth, forward, backwards, forwards, backwards. Like right here. Let's see. Oh, yeah, see right there. They suddenly, so I think they are milking it. Let's see. It is a little in the ground, though, so maybe if the ground is, like, really soft. All right, so this is another one that has 2 sets of the spirals instead of 1. And that one is sped up, of course. That would be pretty freaky if it was doing it that fast. Comes in the E seed. Comes in various sizes and carry variety of payloads. I don't know why, but my mouse is it's acting terrible. It's making me crazy. Try to see if it's just dirt. Maybe it was just dirt. Okay. After all that accidental clicking. Okay, so the extra ones do seem to really help. Yeah, I think that was what was wrong with the mouse. It was dirty. This is the storyline. The helicopter drops them? I don't think. Okay. Okay. All right, well, you get the picture. So, I'm trying to think. I don't know. I kind of have a vague memory of something sort of like that existing, but I don't remember anything this fancy, and certainly not with the 4 pieces of tail like that. This mouse is still acting up. Basically, it's when I move the mouse, it's the cursor is not like following it very well. I remember during the pandemic, they said they were adding some type of disinfectant to the air filter systems of some long flight planes. Maybe it's affecting people. That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, Joe, what's going on with that. I do think that when we're talking about money bags and, you know, he's been kind of maligned lately, unjustifiably, I would say. I do find that whoever is the top dog now especially gets targeted for stuff. I'm not saying it's some kind of secret evil plan necessarily, but it's just, I don't know, whoever's on the top gets the attention, they get the emotion, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. So it's not that, now of all times, it's not that fun being popular. I mean, you can get money and income from it, but you pay a price because whoever's in the top just gets, you know, a certain percentage of the population distrusts and hates them, even though they don't know that person. And certainly if you go through hundreds and hundreds of hours of video, you're always going to find times when they misspoke, they slipped up, they looked crappy that day, whatever. There's always going to be something that you can find on people. That's why I kind of laugh on a lot of these politics ones. It's like anybody who's got hundreds of hours of video, there's going to be little stuff that they said that makes you look stupid. You said the quote wrong. You forgot what you were talking about. You spaced out. Barry Taylor's in. Welcome, welcome. People are losing out on airplanes, air passengers, even airline employees are reporting distress about air travel. I do think bad behavior in general is up. But on the flip side, you do got to realize that the other 1,000 flights where nothing happened do not get viral on media. So it's only going to be when somebody goes whacked out. Now, the last time I've flown, it's been a couple years, but they were all uneventful. Knock on wood, knock on wood. So everybody was well behaved. Everything went fine. People were polite. Also, keep in mind, you know, flights are so squished in. You know, people are packed in like sardines. You can barely breathe in there. I think that doesn't help. We just had a bizarre Thanksgiving, Mandela, and no one drinks, no booze or pot or nothing. All right, well, let's hear it. I actually didn't do that much for Thanksgiving. One of my friends was going to do something, but then she didn't feel good. So then me and another guy were going to do something, and then his parents at the last minute said, you guys can come over. And I just didn't feel like going over there. So I just went into my favorite restaurant instead. His family is, they're nice, but we just have like nothing in common whatsoever. There's some people you just can't really have much of a conversation because it just can't get started. There's no traction. And that's kind of how I am with his family. So I just didn't feel like making the effort that day. Because it wasn't a formal thing and it was last minute. So I'm like, yeah, I can bow out of this real easy. Yeah, exactly, Joe Bloor. Kick them when they're up, kick them when they're down. We want dirty laundry. Yeah, that's pretty much it. When you're the top guy, or Mandela community there's not a lot of people in it to start with. But if you're up there, then you become a target. I think it's just an emotional thing. That people become emotionally interested in you. The more that happens, then the more you have. Some of the outcomes are not always pleasant. Half of us swore we played 2 games of Parcheesi, and the other half swore we played 1 game of Parcheesi. The next day. I don't know. I don't even know how to play Parcheesi, so I don't even know how weird that would be. Some folks think Moneybags maybe. Yeah, Joe Bloor's explaining it. Yeah. Yeah, that's basically it. That there's basically one channel that is accusing Moneybags of being an AI. And they're basically getting kind of low quality video of Moneybags and blowing it up. And in my experience, whenever you get low quality video and blow it up, it looks hinky because it's just like it's not high quality, and so stuff just doesn't look stable in it. And I think if you do it with anybody's video that's low quality video, this will happen. But what happens is they target people they don't like or don't trust, and they blow up the video, and they look, it looks hinky, it looks manufactured. But they never do it with people that they agree with. They never do it to themselves, for instance. I think that they would find the same thing if they blew up their own crappy quality video and look. So that this is being used as evidence that Moneybags is AI, and I've seen Moneybags. He was at the first Mandela Effect conference. Other people have seen him, met him in person. You can poke him. So there is an Evan that is not AI. I don't really have any reason to think that his videos are not actually him. So I don't feel like this is likely at all. I mean, the world is weirder than weird, but that is definitely lowest on my list of likelihoods. Like I said, people have met him, so yeah. Okay, so what's up with the thumbnail? This one was actually brought up by somebody on, I have a number of them for Retcon today. So this one was brought up by user not CAD. CHKHAD, not CAD. So you probably all know the story of the Frog Prince, where the princess meets a frog, and at some point she kisses the frog, and the frog turns into a prince, and then of course they live happily ever after. Okay, so I've known this story since I was a child. I mean, I didn't hear it when I was 20 or 30. I've always known this story. As best I can remember, it has been around a really, really long time. But apparently now in the original Brothers Grimm, and I'm starting to get a little suspicious about these older stories because they could shift a lot in how many people really knew the original, right? So they could be shifty all over the place, and we'd be all like, yeah. So in the original, she didn't kiss him, the frog. She threw it against the wall. I'm like, oh, is this just like typical of this timeline or what? So the new story is that I'll kind of show you over here. The new story is that she dropped her her golden bauble into the river by mistake, and she cut a deal with the frog that he could hang out with her and be her buddy if he got this golden ball back for her. So he gets it back, and then instead of holding up her end of the deal, she runs off and is like, F you, and goes home. And then later the frog comes and bangs on the door and says, look, you made this deal. And then the father of the princess says, you made a deal, you have to abide by it. So he makes her abide by it and let the frog, you know, sit at the dinner table and all this. And then she's all a crab, and then later she throws the frog against the wall when no one else is around. I guess she's like gonna kill it or something. She throws it against a wall, and then it turns into a beautiful prince, and then they get married and live happily ever after, which is the weirdest story because my brain does not understand, you know, like, so you're a terrible, obnoxious woman. You don't agree. You don't abide by your agreements. Then you try to kill the frog, and then you get a handsome prince and live happily ever after. Does that make any sense to anybody? But that's apparently the original story now. All right. And you know, they're saying it's also called Iron Henry, and that is at the end. The frog turns into a prince, and then his servant was happy to see him again because his servant couldn't serve him as he was a frog, but he shows up again as once he's not a frog. And then the servant says he has these gold bands around his heart to keep it held together for the suffering of losing his prince. But apparently this same servant was nowhere around the pond helping or anything. And then the bands break because he's so happy, and then there's this weird noise at the end. I don't even get it. The whole story is just totally incomprehensible as a story. Okay. So apparently that was the original Brothers Grimm, and then somebody wrote, this guy E.D. Baker wrote The Frog Princess, and it was supposed to be modeled after the Grimm story. But in this story, she kisses the frog, and then she turns into a frog. So she's an obnoxious girl, and somehow the magic backfires and she becomes a frog also. And then there's a whole storyline. So there is a kissing of the frog in this one. But this one was like 2002 when it came out. So again, like, even if the frog prince, the kissing of the frog thing showed up in 2002, that's too late for me. I mean, like, it should have been around earlier. And so I was doing some hunting trying to find out anything else about where it came from. So eventually then Disney grabbed it in like 2009 and made the current version where she kisses the frog and he becomes a prince. I'm like, I just don't get, like, I can't figure out, so you can see here it was 2002 was the original copyright for this Frog Prince book. All right, so I just can't get, like, where did it come from? It just seems like it came from a lot sooner than 2002, 2009. Again, the Grimm one has no kissing at all. If you look at, like, the history of the concept, they have history going way back. Citations going, there's in 76, 78. Even then, I feel like it was already around even when I was born. But here, I don't know. I'm just confused. I just feel like it's not that new that it's saying here. So that's why I had that thumbnail on there. It was just a princess kissing a frog. But I also thought her neck was really, really weirdly long. So I'm like, oh, this is perfect. We have seen a lot of long neck humans lately. Okay, so this person, thumbs up on there. You know what I didn't actually do? I totally forgot to check whether I had any saved ones. So I'm going to do that. I think this is, I need to go to original, gecko, saved. Oh, no, I don't think so. Nope, no new ones. All right, we're done with that. I don't know why this is way over here. Yeah, see, Shari, that original story of Sleeping Beauty, like, just lately, all of this, like, oh, the original story was horrible, the original story was horrible. And it just seems kind of weird that I've never heard of any of this until the last few years. And although I can't say for sure on some of these, I'm pretty sure that this whole kissing frog thing is not as new as they're letting on. And the other story, I'm really suspicious of. It's like, a lot of things from the past are just kind of being, like, they're being ruined, you know, they're awful now, and it's getting worse and worse. A lot of the old famous people, oh, it turns out he did this horrible thing. And I do think that even like 20 or 30 years ago, we were adult enough to have accepted if that stuff had really happened, that it would have been out, not, you know, not just the last few years. So I don't really trust it. I was reading the other day, there are 12 versions of us in different levels of energies. Depending on our frequency, we can jump to them. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, those ideas are interesting, but how do you even know? I really do feel like there's been way more than 12 shifts. That's certainly it. So I don't know if I would lay it down to just 12. It sounds dumb, but we were all freaked out by it. We're talking about that Parcheesi thing, right? Me and Mom and Dad. So 3 of you swear one way and 3 of you swear the other on the Parcheesis. Yeah, I know what you mean, though. I mean, it is dumb, but yet it's not, because even one instance of reality changing is still completely freaky, and the closer it is to home, the more freaky it is. So if something weird changes off over in France, it's not going to be as freaky as if something changed on your street or in your house or something that happened yesterday. And that's the other thing we're seeing a lot more of, is when I first got into Mandela, we would see, 20 years ago, this event changed, and then it was 10 years ago, and then it was 5 years ago, but it really seems like it's escalating, and so now it's like, yesterday we don't agree on what happened yesterday. It used to be we didn't agree what happened on some event, you know, around 2002 or something. So that's another kind of escalation that I've kind of noticed. Yeah, and another thing is, like, why would, like, Disney just saw these horrible, horrible old stories and decided to use them by completely changing one part and then using them in a child's, like, happy movie. Wouldn't you think, like, I don't want to be connected to that disgusting old story? You know, like, wouldn't you, like, for instance, change up the names really good so that you couldn't have it tracked back? I mean, if I got the idea from some old Brothers Grimm and it involved, you know, rape or some horrible yucky thing, the R word, I probably shouldn't have said that word on YouTube, but if it involved all that, I would change the name of at minimum, I would completely change the name of the story so that it couldn't be easily traced back to that. I would change the name of all the characters, just, you know, change enough details so you couldn't figure out where I got it from, because where I got it from was disgusting. And when you're making a child's movie, you wouldn't want that link, you know, so it doesn't make sense to me. I mean, isn't the goal to like make money? I mean, in my old timeline, that would have been the goal. You don't want, I mean, this is the same company that if you had even one hint of tarnish on you, they would like throw you under the bus even 70 years ago. So why would they be doing this? I mean, that's just crazy. It would be so easy to just change the names, for instance. I mean, that is just easy peasy, peek and easy. So it's not logical to me either. With all this divergence, we'll all likely end up converging in similar worlds in real life, but still have the internet shared with other places. I've definitely wondered about that. Does the internet cross timelines? So if I'm talking to some, excuse me, if I'm talking to some rude person, are they even in my timeline? Are they even capable? Am I capable of meeting them in real life? Say I keep my energy positive and I'm walking down the street. Maybe they're walking down the street, but they're not in my timeline. I won't encounter them. You know, I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas out there. And that's also one of the things that I've really wondered about Chat GPT is that the chatbot tells you stories that we find out are like made up, or they call it hallucinations, but they sound possible. They sound very plausible. So am I being gaslit by the AI, or is that just true somewhere? It maybe the AI spans across and is looking at real things. I don't know, but it just seems highly convenient that the AI is doing what it's doing. So the AI kind of tabulates things, but wouldn't they program it to go and check? You know, like if I say, is there research of such and such and such and such, and it says yes, I mean, it has in its database what research there really is. Why would it fabricate? You know, and even if it did at first, how come they didn't fix it? Shouldn't it just cross-check its answer? You know, so it was telling me that such and such research exists with such and such journal at such and such date. It should be easy for the AI to go cross-check that. So I go, well, I'm not finding it. Oh, well, they must have moved it. But if that research never existed, then it should be easily able to check its own history and see, oh, it's not in there. Not just for me, but for it. When it got its data set, it should know that that was never in there. It should be easy for it to know that. So I don't know. I'm not a programmer, so maybe they don't have it cross-checking. They have it just, you know, but if they're not having it cross-checking, why not? I mean, what's the point of having it if it can't cross-check accurate data? It's a simple question. I'm not asking it to guess on what research exists. I'm asking it to tell me what research there is. And I've heard other stories too where like lawyers were using it to look for precedents and other important legal issues, and the AI was like it did for me. It was inventing stuff. Now, when it makes up a lie or a hallucination, it is very realistic sounding, so you would not guess. So this guy was using it in his arguments, in his closing arguments and stuff, all these legal precedents and stuff that do not exist, that the AI fed to him. Now, it should be pretty simple. If the AI has been given a list of legal precedents, it should be able to know if that was legit, like if what it's saying is true. See, the thing with Bambi and stuff, though, I mean, it's just, it's sad, but that's like the reality of life, that your animals will die, blah, blah, blah. So I could kind of accept that, you know, I don't like those sad movies, but it is an important lesson. Now, this other stuff, like throwing a frog at a wall that turns into a handsome prince and then you get married and live happily ever after, that's not teaching anything useful whatsoever. In fact, it's nonsensical, highly unlikely, and throwing a frog at a wall will get you good stuff? I mean, it doesn't even make sense. The ChatGPT isn't connected to the internet. The one I was using isn't, you're right, but it was fed with a database, and it's using that database to give me my answers. So it should know what was in the original database it was fed. And it should be able to either go, I don't know, because I don't have that info. Like, for instance, if I ask him internet stuff now, it'll say I don't have access to the internet. Okay, it says it doesn't know. But if it was fed with a database of all that stuff, then it should still know what was in its original database. Now, if it changed now, yes, it has an excuse for being wrong. But it is giving me completely fabricated research. It's not changed now. It was never true. That information was never in that journal. If you go to that journal on that date, you will not find that article because it's completely fabricated. And I don't understand how that's happening. I mean, it's configured differently. It trained on different data and primed to be made safer. Yeah, see, the stuff I was asking now, it wasn't like on the pandemic or anything, so it shouldn't be anything censored. Does it not have access to the database it was fed originally? That doesn't really make sense to me. I mean, maybe I'm missing something, but I still have not heard an explanation that makes any sense to me. I mean, I'm open to one if you can explain to me. You know what? I'm like really hungry right now, so I'm gonna get my sugar drink. Hold on. Fruit juice. It has calories in it. Yeah. I haven't played with Chatbot for a while, but you can sneak around because they kind of block direct queries that might be like racist or something. They think it is. Like if I was gonna ask crime statistics by race or something, I might have trouble. But then if I just asked it kind of a different way so that it wasn't real obvious what I was asking for, the same data that I might have got blocked on if I asked directly, I might be able to get it that way. They just can't block everything. I know we are in a new timeline because Elon has changed person now. I did think it was weird, all this latest going to Israel and stuff. Plus, he looks kind of weird, so I don't know. I never really can quite wrap my brain around Elon Musk anyway. I don't really trust him, and then he'll say this, and he'll do this, and he'll do this, and you know. A small team of humans, we're talking about AI now. A small team of humans are also tasked with manually rating a small part of the answers to make sure the other instance of the AI isn't going too wild. The other instance of the AI. I'm not sure what that means. The other instance of the AI isn't going too wild. So I kind of get the general thing. Humans are monitoring the answers to make sure it's not going off the rails. But I don't know what you mean with the other instance of AI. All right, Sapio says it doesn't have access to the training data because the training data was curated in a series of questions and answers, and then another instance of the AI, is tasked with ranking the answers. I'm like confused now. So one instance of the AI has access to the training data, and then the other instance of the AI ranks the answers. I'm still confused. This is pretty interesting, though. It only has the brain with memories, but no books. but the instance used by Bing Chat has access to the internet to cross-reference it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still confused about why the offline version does not have access to its training data. I'm still a little lost on that. So you're saying there's two instances, the offline chatbot, there's one instance of it that has access to the training data, and then there's another instance of it that interacts with people. But I still don't get why the info from the training data can't be like fed or cross-checked. So you have chatbot 3.5 ranking the answers for training chatbot 4. My brain might not have enough instance to understand. I feel like I want to, the USA and the Canadian border. Oh, so Canadians don't like Biden, I take it? I don't really know. I thought that, do Canadians even like Trudeau? I don't know. I thought it was just split, like the Democrats like Biden and Trudeau, and the Republicans didn't like either. That was kind of my impression of it. I would say this is the borderline between Democrats and Republicans if I had to make a guess, but I can't say that I know what the what's going on in the mind of the average Canadian is beyond me. Oh, maybe they don't like Biden now because of the Gaza thing? The newer versions are trained with the help of the older versions. So the newer versions don't get the training data, and they don't get access to the training data, okay? So the older versions are answering, but the older versions should have access to the training data. The training data is not available to the AI after the training, only the memories it made. See, I don't get it, but the memories should be of the training data. That's why I'm just confused. All right, well, so this is kind of one. I, as a business person, was rather impressed by this one. I don't know if it'll impress you, but Black Friday, at least for Americans, why is it called Black Friday? Does anybody remember? I really remember because being a business person, I was always interested in the concept of why it was called Black Friday. And this comes from a user on Redcon, username Agent Orange 55. So good find, Agent Orange 55. Now we've definitely seen that almost everything has a new meaning these days, but I was just laughing at this one. And I have looked at this many times over the years. Just for like the last, how long have I been kind of doing this business? I think it's been about 12 years now. And I have multiple times looked at this. During the training, only this stupid, all right. That like heart thing goes right over the last word. The training data is not available to the AI after the training. Okay, you said that. Sometimes I think the entire world is run by lizard people or aliens or demons. I know it's getting more and more ridiculous all the time. Like, everything is backwards land. Oops, sorry. Hopefully that didn't make a weird noise. You know, they'll say, like, one thing is the opposite all the time. Like, what's good, they'll say is bad. What's bad, they'll say is good. And it's getting, like, so blatant now. It's just... And maybe that, the good part is that people are more likely to wake up the more ridiculous it gets. Like, how much do they have to flail the clown shoes in front of people before they wake up? All right. Sapioid, you're being very patient trying to explain this to me. I am very interested in the AI thing. And it's very hard to find it, like, in between understanding, because it's either really vague, like explain it like for 5-year-olds, or it's like super technological programmer language that I can't understand. Kids version 4 are being trained by adults version 3.5 on the info from the books training data, but after the classes are over they cannot access the books. I guess it's just confusing to me because what you said there makes sense for procedural memory. Like, I learned how to do something, but I no longer have the book in front of me on how I did it. But when the information is the information, then how can I not be looking at the books? Like, what is it? How is it answering? Like, how can you have memories of the answer but not have access to the answer? Like, what is it learning then? Like, why even give it access to journal entries? I mean, like, shouldn't they just have it say, I don't remember then? Like, if it doesn't have the actual data, shouldn't it just say, dunno? I don't know. Like, I can't remember because I don't have access to the data right now. I mean, instead it makes up a whole fantasy island bunch of baloney. Now, I did notice in the beginning I'd call it out and say, well, that's not there. Are you sure this is real? And then it would come back and go, okay, right, I'm my mistake. It's not real. But lately, the last times I did it, it would double down on that crap. It's got worse. Like, no. They probably moved it this and this and this, So maybe the upgrades made it more stupid. Okay, and during the training, only the kids can access the book. I don't know. I still don't get how, because it's information. So either you have the information or you don't have the information. It should just, like, why is it trying to answer informational stuff when it doesn't have it? I'm like, my brain just can't wrap around it. So, like, say some kid teaches me how to hammer in a nail, and then you ask me who manufactured the hammer, and I don't know because the kid has so either I ask the kid should give me the correct answer, or I say I don't know, nobody told me. Shouldn't it be able to do that easily? I mean, isn't it in its memory banks clearly what it has access to? Shouldn't it just say I don't know? Melania didn't wear black. Okay, this one over here did it, but they might have their jacket off, so. Yep. Well, she's a foreigner, and maybe she just doesn't know is another thing. I mean, she still talks with an accent and stuff. I think it's Japan, they wear white for funerals, and black is like the connotations that we give white, and white has the connotations of the black, so. I have no idea about the protocols on these things. Okay, so that was the weird image. Okay, interesting. I mean, sometimes you just wonder, is that the whole thing a show? Does Melania even exist? Is it just fodder to get people excited? Maybe AI has an ego. I mean, how would you know? Well, why does it double down on its inaccurate stuff? It's a complicated formula to figure out what the next word is supposed to be based on the text that was provided. Doesn't that make it just almost useless for any information then? Because you can't ask it. It's basically guessing on everything. It has no information at all, but it lies and says it does. So if it's supposed to be the database of everything, but it's the database of nothing. Everything it has is a guess. Every last thing. Then it just seems to me like it just makes it extremely, like, it's the gas lighting king of the universe. All right, so there's that. There's Black Friday. So I remember Black Friday as being, and now that I really look at this, it is a little weird, but they used to say that for large corporations, like, especially like Macy's, okay, I specifically remember Macy's being an example. They basically they would say kind of ran in the red all year, like from January up until Black Friday. They were a little bit behind on in the red until, as far as profit margins, until the start of the Christmas season and the shopping season. And the start of the Christmas shopping season was generally demarked as the day after Thanksgiving. That's when people went, okay, it's time to start buying Christmas presents. And that's when it would kick in, and they would usually sell enough that at that point they were in the black, like they had broken even on profits versus losses all year, costs and everything. And then from then on, they were going to start to pull out into the green. That's when they would start to make profits for the whole year. So at the end of the year, then they would be in the green. So that they would call it Black Friday, because, not to say that every last company always was then, but that was the time when most likely you were going to start kicking in a profit. It's not going to be true for 7-Eleven. It's not going to be true for my store, but these large corporations. And I used to think about that a lot as a business person, because I would be like, imagine that long game, and the trust and the risk taking that you would have to feel waiting for the Christmas season to come to see, how you were going to do, and kind of not making money that whole time. And then assumedly you then made a boatload at Christmas, and there's other businesses that are kind of like that. Like I know there's a company that sells Christmas lights, like laser Christmas lights. And I'm sure all year that they have to be stocking up and innovating and doing all this stuff. And they probably sell almost no Christmas lights most of the year. And then all of a sudden, 3 weeks before Christmas or 5 weeks before, it's kabooms. They'll sell a bajillion of them. It's got to be a little tough. But apparently now it was never that. It was never this story that I totally grew up with. And it's an old wives' tale, and it was not that at all. And now, what was it they were saying? They were saying it said to be related to the day after Thanksgiving. First, it was because a lot of people would call sick after Thanksgiving because they would only have Thursday off, and they didn't want to work Friday, and they wanted to stay with their family. And then they had Saturday and Sunday off, so they would call in sick on Friday so they could have 4 days off. So there'd be all these, like, sick people, okay? Some of them might have been really sick because they ate too much or something. But anyway, that was one of the origins of Black Friday. It seems a little strange, but okay, you're sick, Black Friday. And then apparently, supposedly, police and other governmental agencies were saying it was like a hard day to deal with because there'd be all these congestion on the roads and maybe anger management issues, and it was just, like a full moon times 10 kind of thing. So they would call it Black Friday for that. And that's supposedly the origins. And then much later and much more recently, there was a saying that, oh, well, business didn't like, you know, this negative term, so they tried to advertise that it was really this other thing, that's financial, which seems kind of weird to me, because if I was a business and I was trying to rework and refurbish the concept of Black Friday, I wouldn't make it about making money. I would make it some kind of fun thing, you know, for the shoppers. Like, you know, this is where, you know, I'm sure I could have thought of something that sounded better than the businesses are going to finally make money, you know, like shop for me because I didn't make any money. I mean, it's just not, I just can't see them all coming up with this plan, which doesn't really help them that much. So the storyline that exists now, I feel, is rather shaky. But it's always been this way. And I'll tell you, I have looked this up many times, and there was never a peep about crowds or calling in sick. It's almost laughable. Some say Jill should have been sitting where Melania is, and that shows. I don't know. I really don't know the protocols. I have zero idea about those protocols. Yeah, see, Mr. Albert, 1971, you remember as me, remember Black Friday was blacked out day because in general businesses were not profitable due to having to set up production for only one day before the weekend. Oh, that's a little bit different. Oh, okay. So, that's interesting. It's still financial, but a little bit different. Okay. That's kind of related to the calling in sick day, but kind of like the financials, actually. Now we have a White Friday. Do we? I didn't get that memo. Make it about make it about freeing the slaves. Oh my God. I don't know. I would just say like now is when you like black out old enmities and, you know, make friends again, or this is when you put your bad feelings for others away in a box, or something. I would just make it like something like that. Like, this is how you solve family problems, or something positive sounding. Just maybe the demons dine on the fever pitch of the energy of the people rushing and fighting. You know, I think I've said it many times. I think everything in this reality has like a good side and a bad side. And you pick. Like, holidays can very much be about family and love and making people happy, and they open the present and they love it, and you're just like really enjoying that they enjoy it, and it's all worth it because look, everybody's having a good time, and you remember to care about others and blah blah. Or like you said, it could be about what am I gonna get, and greed, and I got a better present than you, and screw you, and stress and rushing about, and it could be about that. And I've definitely seen people do either. So in the end, you pick what it's going to be about. White Friday is a shopping holiday in the Middle East in November. White Friday is similar to Black Friday in the U.S., and it typically offers 4 days of shopping, discounts, and deals to shoppers. Okay. White Friday does sound better than Black Friday, but you know, it always made sense to me because they always used to say, you know, a business has 3 modes: red, black, and green. And so red is you're losing money, black is you breaking even, and then green is when you're profitable. So it always made sense that it was Black Friday. I mean, if people weren't showing up for work, I'd call it like Sick Friday, or Stay Home Friday, or I wouldn't call it Black Friday, you know. I can kind of see with the crowds, maybe I would call that Black Friday, but I think more like I'd call it Crazy Friday. I could see Black Friday on that one, though, but I don't see it for calling in sick. Maybe I'd call it Fibber Friday. Everybody calls in sick and they're not sick. All right, General Sorrow remembers My Way. We still have Black Friday here, so I have no idea why White Friday. The overlords claiming they don't make much money. You know, so this is for like Macy's and stuff, okay? I mean, some of these businesses that they went out of business, so they weren't making that much money. Now, that's not to say that some jerks at the top didn't siphon out a bunch of money, and I've definitely heard stories that some businesses went under, like Sears. I don't know if it's still in the current reality, but I do remember stories where, like, the top guys were, like, transferring money to their other businesses and throwing a lot of pet projects at their friends and, you know, like, basically sucking the life out of Sears. So that contributed to its collapse. So it's kind of a tricky answer. I mean, certainly some of these businesses don't make much money, but some few people usually do either not lose money or they get a big bunch of money out of it. All right, so Black Friday changed. All right, that was the frogs one. This one I just ran into kind of randomly. In the current time, it's kind of relevant, but apparently you can do a uterus transplant now. Now, they've only done it in women so far, but I'm not sure how long that'll last. The first successful uterine transplant was mother to daughter and happened in 2012. So it's kind of weird. So the daughter wanted to have a baby. So they moved the uterus to the daughter, and then they transplanted the egg in there that was fertilized, I assume, by the husband. And then she had ovaries but no uterus. That's what it was. Okay. But they used an embryo from a lab, so it really doesn't matter if she had ovaries because they didn't use them. Created using the woman's ovum, though. Got it. All right. So they did take something out of the ovaries. And then they transplanted into the uterus. And then she was able to have a full-term baby. And then they removed it afterwards. So they're kind of saying they usually remove it afterwards, the uterus, after the baby is out. It seems kind of a lot. I'm like, why didn't they just have the mother carry the baby then? The mother had the... I mean, like, I don't know. Like, you have a mother with a functioning uterus. I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like in this timeline, the do no harm thing is a lot weaker than my old one. But they've had other successful ones in here. So they had successful ones that weren't related people also. Here's Brazil 2016, blah, blah, blah. So basically they have transplanted a uterus into people, and then they, I don't think they've had one, I don't think they've had one with natural implant of the egg yet, but you kind of know then, I mean, the way things are going, you kind of have to assume that they're going to try it in some guys pretty soon. I mean, it's almost a given. Or it'll show up that they did it 10 years ago or something. Has anybody looked at the new Canadian passport? It's now the... I'm not going to use that word. Somethingest passport in the world with rainbows and animals. Like a 5-year-old. Okay, let's see. Let's check it out. The new Canadian... Maybe it matches the Christmas decorations. The Christmas decorations in the White House, because I was looking at those and I'm like, what? I don't hate them, but the new Christmas decorations to me look sort of childish. Let's just see. All right, the new Canadian passport. What's it look like? Oh, this must be it. Is it this? Okay. I don't know. It's not quite as bad as I was expecting to see. Is that the one we're looking at? All right, let's just put in design. Was there a bunch of them? Because this one has birds. Oh, maybe it's this one. Well, it looks like there's, kind of weird. They all got little horns. Maybe there's more than one. Can't say that one is particularly styling. Or maybe it's not on here. Or is it this one? No, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I found it even. Back then, when Black Friday got started, the U.S. had loads of factories that had to set up their machinery. I'm trying to think, though, because, I mean, like, I could see that with some factories. A lot of those machines, though, I mean, it really just took like 20 minutes to start them. It wasn't, and usually one guy would go in and do it. So it wasn't, and a lot of them didn't run 24/7, so they had to start them every morning anyway. I could see it for some, like maybe some large, really large ones like Ford or something, though, but. So, I don't, it could be like Black Friday means 20 different things in 20 different timelines. And if you come from one of those other ones. All right, so. Okay. I actually not real fond of this, front. The front is really, I don't know. I mean, it's not horrible, but as far as design is concerned, it is not. Oh, it is those. Oh my God, it is that? Is it really that? Okay. So I saw that, and then I thought it was like some corny Hallmark card. Okay, it does look like a corny Hallmark card. It does look kind of immature, I have to agree. I thought it was some silly Hallmark card. Okay. I mean, it could be worse, but. And then suddenly there's this. Oh, it's supposed to be a snowflake? I have to say, I'm not like. This just looks weird. And then that's just down there, like, floating in space. And it is, but is not a snowflake. This actually is the worst part for me. Spacing and design. And maybe I'm just, as a Gen X, I can't comprehend the brain processes of millennials. But I don't get it. Speaking of wombs, that one is weird. I mean, you could have any design and slide all this weird ink into it. I don't mind the leaves too much, but I'm like, what? Yeah. Why is it? Why didn't they just make the whole thing a nice shape then? Like, why? I don't. Okay. These are what, the visas? What is that? Oh, it's an owl. What's wrong with its wings? I almost thought it was like a half owl, half whale. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe like somebody's somebody in high position's daughter did it or something. I don't think it's the world class image design of the universe, certainly. All right, I'm changing the live chat. They say his picture is a boy. Trudeau's picture is a boy, isn't that? Oh, that's so tacky. No. Trudeau's. No picture. You're serious on Canadian passport. That's so tacky. Stirs controversy. The images captured the spirit of who we are as Canadians. Well, it doesn't look like it was universally loved either. They removed another image called Vimy Memorial. I don't know what that is. My thought is that whoever made this decision needs to give their head a shake. That is such a Canadian thing to say. Needs to give their head a shake. All right, I'm not seeing anything about Trudeau's picture as a child, though. Justin Trudeau's egotistical redesign. I don't know why I'm so curious about that, but it's just like so tacky. Okay, so you removed all this historical stuff. I kind of see what you... Okay, I see what your point is also. It's not just that the images are childish, but they have removed all of the traditional stuff that, you know, your historical and then you replace it with like birds and and animals, and I see what you're saying now. I kind of, it's not just that the design is not the, you know, it's not literally like a child drew it, but it is. I get it. Like I was saying, I thought it was a Hallmark card. It just, you know, it looked like that fluffy kind of vapid, shallow kind of a stuff in it. But again, maybe that's, you know, we're looking at the millennial taste, basically. Canada in my past would never have that British seal of the monarchy. Canada was a free, independent, constitutional republic, not a colony part of the British Commonwealth. Yeah, there's a lot of places that are kind of like part of, more under control of Britain than I recall ever having been like that. Yeah, it is like AI kids art. You're right. It is kind of like that. Yeah. Although I do have to wonder, I mean, when I say they, history changes of they did it, but I don't know, you know, it could be just a Mandela change, and I don't know who you'd say had control over the Mandela change. History's gonna, yeah, it's pretty simplistic. I do, you know, actually, I do really wonder if somebody just rammed this crap through an AI and had him spit it out. I mean, it really does look like maybe AI made that, because nobody's doing their work anymore. They just have AI do it. Why spend weeks coming up with a design when you can just have AI spit it out? And then you get paid the same. I mean, eventually that's going to stop. But for now, you can say you did it and have AI do it and collect this giant paycheck. Especially if it's your aunt that shunted you the work and nobody's really going to question it because she's powerful. Uh, 136. How far have I gone through my spiel here? I got that. Not that one. I have 2 left. All right. Did I give everybody credit? You got credit. You got credit. This one comes from Mark Tyus. We've seen some of this kind of stuff already. So we had the, was it one of those sea creatures that would chew on pufferfish and then get high from the poison? I have to say, I find it very suspicious that so many creatures now can just chew on a poisonous animal that kills people, but instead they just get high. Like, is there really that much poison out there that you can just chomp? Like, so now they're saying that these lemurs get high on millipedes. So they would take the millipede and kind of nibble it, but not real hard, and then lay it down, and the millipede will shoot poison out in order to sort of, like, deter attackers. But since the lemur is big, it could just kind of get this on its fur and get all in its face, and then they have, like, a narcotic response. And they're saying, this is like a twofer, because they're saying they rub it all over their fur that deters insects. I'm like, have you really tested it to see if it deters insects? I guess it is a poison that's meant to kill insects, so maybe it does. I don't know. So what, you rub it all over yourself, and it's like a natural insecticide, and you get high. I mean, what is the chances of that even existing? And if this lemur gets high from it, like, why aren't people doing it? Do we not get high? I mean, like, you know, there's the millipede. So there's, like, all this stuff out there that, you know, all these creatures are. So why don't we get high from the toxins in a pufferfish? I mean, like, it just seems weird. And maybe down the line they'll say, hey, we found this new wonderful mood-enhancing drug that we copied from the lemurs. I don't know. But this stuff's coming in all the time. Like, coming from a timeline where nothing used tools except for humans, and then chimps were discovered to use a few little tools, and now, like, everything in his uncle uses a tool, including lemurs and crabs and everybody. Alright, so Mark Tyus, good find. It's more of that trend of the narcotics and the tool use. This timeline loves its happy pills, apparently. Sharks eating livers of whales. All right, is that another high on the supply things? Let's see. Sharks eating livers of whales. Why are killer whales ripping livers out of their shark prey? Wait. You said the reverse. Sharks eating livers of whales. These are whales eating livers of sharks. I'm confused. Killer whales rip the bellies of sharks. Other predators also have dietary preferences for organs, etc. I mean, all the nutrients are in the organ meat, so the concept of preferring livers and other stuff is not new to me as far as predators. Scientists often assume that predators had to take what they could get. I've kind of learned, no, in a good environment, they don't gotta, because I've seen now, you know, I've had a couple situations where I've learned how much animals can catch. Like our own cat, she can catch, she can find a mice in like 15 minutes and catch it. So she can be picky, very picky. Maybe that's why cats are so picky, because they're so effective hunters. She only likes certain, you know, she can catch birds, but she never eats them. They're not her favorite. Maybe it's too much feathers. A rough calculation suggests a single white shark liver may sustain a single orca for a day. Yeah, but if you could catch 3 of those things a day, then you could just eat nothing but livers. Maybe if you get an environment where you haven't eaten in a while, then you get less picky. Okay, so there's nothing real weird about it except for they're eating livers for that. Now let's go the other way. Orcas slaughtering sharks again. Now we wanted sharks doing whales, but we're getting orcas killing sharks. Notorious killer whale disemboweled 20 sharks. Oil-rich livers. Okay. It's interesting only because I've never heard of this particular issue before, that there's like all these shark carcasses floating around because they only wanted the liver. They used to kind of just chomp the whole thing out. So what, more intelligence, more pickiness? Never heard of it before, so it's suspicious for those reasons, definitely. They made spiders high with things we use, like LSD. Yeah, so if so many things can get high from our stuff, shouldn't we be able to get high from their stuff? Yeah, millipedes are poisonous. They're saying it's a poison, but this particular one is not that much of a poison. I don't know. Oh, okay, you had it backwards. Okay, so yeah, it's whales killing sharks. Bobby Fischer or Bobby Fisher? Yeah, for me it was just no. It was SH for me. And that was it way back. I don't think I've ever eaten a shark steak, so I don't know. Now I have had shark fin soup, way back before it was a big deal and considered horrible and stuff. Way back when I was a kid, I was probably like 16 or something. And I went to a wedding. I have a lot of Asian friends back then, and we went to a wedding, and they had shark fin soup, and I don't remember much about it other than it tasted really good, and I don't know why. I mean, like, it didn't really taste fishy or sharky, though. I mean, like, I just thought that they put a lot of those Asian dishes are just amazingly delicious, and they, you know, put all the right spices, and it was really good. But I didn't even really feel like it was a fish dish, you know. I think I have a vague memory of a couple fins in there or something, but you know, they have so many delicious spices and stuff, and I don't know if it was the fin or all them spices. And it was a long time ago, so that's another thing. It was like bubbly chicken. Okay. So the other thing is we had ours at a restaurant, so there probably wasn't a lot of fin in it. It doesn't taste like fish. Okay, maybe. That would make sense. It was good. That's all I remember. I'm like just thinking, this is good. And that was part of it. I didn't really feel like it didn't taste like I thought it would taste. It just tasted good. Kind of like really good broth soup or something. Yeah. Yeah. I can see why they like it if it always tastes that good, though. Okay, well, I think I'm just about done. Only 1 hour and 45 minutes. It's a miracle. Yeah, I wonder what even... Okay, so it tastes like chicken. There seems to be a lot of sharks. I'm going to have to try that one of these days. I mean, part of the reason they complained that the shark fin was bad is like they're cutting off the fins of all these sharks, throwing them back. I'm like, well, eat the whole shark then. We could use it for dog food. You could use it for steaks. Take out the middle, sell all the teeth, blah, 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 blah. Now it's not bad? I don't know. It's kind of weird how we think of things sometimes, though. Okay, well, I think I'm going. So thanks, everybody. And you guys gave me a lot of good Mandelas. And then also thanks on Retcon. Lucky I can read that without glasses. I'm not real good at up close, but I am getting a little older. I'm waiting for the timeline to give me a solution to vision. All right, anyway, you know the drill. You know, imagine what you want. Think good thoughts, everybody. Thank you for coming. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.